we go. Let's do a audio and visual check. Can you hear and see me okay, everybody? You can see with me, I have Coach Jay. How are you, Coach Jay?
Doing good, Coach Dakota, man. How are you? Happy the end of Liberation Day. It's
Liberation,
over.
liquidation. Happy liquidation day right
I
now.
think we heard
What market?
we heard him wrong.
Yeah, I think we heard him wrong. Was that just a typo? Everyone was saying liberation when it was actually liquidation day. That's what it meant. That's what it looks like it meant. Oh man, in all serious now. All serious. How are you doing? I know you had at the buzzer. I know you have been watching these markets. What's your feeling going into this? These markets are starting to catch a little bit of a bid. We are up, 200 points from the low here in the NASDAQ I'm watching. And obviously we see Coach Robert in the chat, and a bunch of questions coming in.
Yeah. So right now, I'm not looking to make a trade at this point, but I'm just kind of watching how the markets respond. Clearly, we see the gap down, Nasdaq down almost just under. It was just under 4% right now. From a technical perspective, this is something that Coach Paul and I have been talking about for a little while. But this August 5th candle on the daily, Dakota, we're trading inside it right now. So I'm looking at what happens in the Nasdaq up at 19,130s, right? Do we accept inside this this daily candle and rotate lower, or is the market digesting this? Are we seeing buyers come in, and is this the low for 2025? Or can we get much lower?
Ooh, are we going to end the day green? Are we going to end the day green? We're down. You never know. But let's get a few housekeeping things out of the way, just so everybody knows. Let's get that Topstep risk disclosure in the YouTube chat, tonight more than any night. As always, this is for educational purposes only. We all know this is not a signals class as we talk about these crazy markets tonight. And you can see Coach Robert, putting in the CME group. There's lots of links in this chat. I know it could be overwhelming. I really do recommend just understanding where we're at, understanding what's going on in this market. They're very volatile. And in times of this extreme volatility and these markets selling off, or even on the flip side, Coach Jay, if these markets rally, 6-7%, it still applies. I see some questions in the chat saying, what about the 2% price drop limit during liquidation day? And basically what that means is whenever we're within 2% of a circuit breaker, then you need to be out of all your trades. And now Topstep does have an active live risk team monitoring the markets, monitoring accounts. I briefly talked to one of them before coming on air, and I just want to double check before saying anything so I don't misspeak. And they said the same thing. We're actively watching our live accounts. We're actively watching our traders. If a trader tries to place a trade within, the 2%, then they'll be liquidated. We could even give hey, I just make sure everyone knows, because you might not know what the 2% is. Maybe you're just trading and you see an opportunity, you see a setup and it catches you off guard. Well, that's what the question is for. And now you can see Coach Jay has that open. And you could see there are some price references, the 7% price limit down only. And you go through, see those limits. Coach Robert's posting in the chat. And it really is very important to understand that. Any other notes? I know you were on there with At the Buzzer and you talked about this a little bit, I'm sure.
So just real quick on these price limits, right? The 7% price limit down is for the equity markets. We have the price here in the NASDAQ 387 and a quarter. That's 7% down. The Topstep rules for live accounts says don't trade within 2% of that. So if you see the equity markets being 5% down, kind of similar to what the Russell was recently, the Russell just recently was down 4.76%. That's getting close to that 5%, right? Topstep rules say we're not trading within 2% of that 7%. So you see the markets go down 5%. That's not a market that you want to trade with a live account, with an XFA, or honestly, maybe with any account right now with that volatility. There's going to be a ton of opportunities throughout the rest of the session, through tomorrow. But when the markets get close to that percentage, just be aware of it.
Yeah, and it was close. It really was a market that was really close. I was talking about, if let me switch it over to my charts, and you could see it. If we take a look at this Nikkei, this Japanese market, what a roller coaster! What a freaking roller coaster! I was talking to Coach Jay in the green screen in the green room before coming on air. There was 350 contracts got filled down here, which is a abnormal size for this market. I've never seen a size that big. And look at this move here on this Nikkei, and talking about percent moves, that's 8.5% move from the high to the low. And as we've been watching this, we're back up pushing highs. We're pushing the highs here in the Nikkei, which is pretty crazy. 4% up, $1,400 in this. And so that's just an insane amount of volatility in this market. I mean, Nikkei's already volatile enough, Coach Jay. That is just very hard to comprehend sometimes, where it's just better to be safe than sorry. I'm going to do this. I'm going to click this manual lockout. I'm not going to lock myself out all day, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and customize, and I'm going to lock myself out until the New York session. I'm going to wait. I think that's going to be smart for me. I'm just going to do till 6 a.m. so I don't zero temptations. I'm going to do that. I know it's very, very tempting in this volatility. This is my live account. I'm just going to lock myself out until the AM session. There we go. Now I don't have to worry about any temptations, because knowing myself, I'll probably sit here watching this volatility and think I could take advantage of that.
I was like, oh, is that a 3-bar reversal? I think.
Yeah, I know. Look at this. I mean, this is just a pullback. Here we go.
Right. Buy the dip. That's a good call, Dakota. I just locked myself out of this XFA to 8:30 in the morning as well. But we can talk about these markets. We got MP in the chat. We have the VIP of VIPs in the chat. MP, what's going on? He said, these are trader markets. We love the movement. And even if I'm not trading it, ideally we want to be in this. Yeah, I want to short from the highs up at 20,000 in the NASDAQ. Didn't get one, but it's crazy to see these things move and what, the markets respond to right now.
Correct. Yeah. And talking about this volatile market, I don't think we're done. I don't think we're done, man.
No.
This is just today. Tomorrow's Thursday. This price action, what we're seeing is Thursday. It's going to be a wild ride tomorrow. And then guess what? Guess what's right after tomorrow? Non-farm payroll. The very next day.
If you didn't have enough volatility, here's some more.
It's just a wild roller coaster week. And we kind of seen that coming, right? We were talking about it this week. We have Wednesday's going to be a big day. We expect a lot of volatility. Of course, this is just beyond what I was expecting. And then, of course, non-farm payroll to finish off this week. Now, some big notes I'm seeing here in this NASDAQ is where we closed at 5 p.m. Central and to where we opened up again tonight in this price action at 5 p.m. Central, where we opened up. We are in the middle of this gap. We are in this middle of this gap, and this is not a small gap for sure. This is 120 points that we're right in the middle. And the question is, can we fill this? I think the best thing for me, Coach Jay, whenever I see volatility like this, I zoom out. I like looking at the daily chart and just really putting it in perspective where we are at, and kind of looking and say, remember this volatility we had back in August? I mean, we're basically there. We're in a similar situation. We don't have that big spike in the VIX that we've been talking about. And can this market continue to sell off? Where could we go? I do like this 18,100 levels. 18,100 levels. And the question is, if we do get there, how fast will we get there? How much volatility can we manage our risk, right? That should be the number one priority is, instead of just hopping in this market, can we manage our risk when we're trading towards these big price levels? If we want to sell this, right? Don't think about FOMO, fear of missing out. And what did you say when we first came on? We want to talk about spreads, everybody. Well, take a look at this DOM. Take a look at this DOM right over Coach Jay's head. That's the order book. If you're used to coming into slow markets and seeing how an order book looks like, that's not normal.
We had, I was watching it on the open. There was times where we were jumping from a 16 tick to a 50 tick spread. That's over 10 points in the NASDAQ. Just trying to get out of a position if you were in one. That's insanity. So, I think anybody who's ever traded a live account or understands that you're never trading the futures markets with a 50 tick spread. It just doesn't make any sense. Andrew says all the adults have left. Yeah, the adults said, you know what, here, you guys, this is your market for right now. I don't want to touch this.
No, it's just insanity.
Crazy.
I'm watching this. It's still, even taking away points, it's like a 5-point spread at moments here watching this NASDAQ. And even if I take a look at the ES, it's thin. Like I'm seeing single digits in the ES, that's also not normal. I have not seen for a very long time. Now to all the traders out there talking about sizing down, I want to do a comparison, and this is why I love micros. Take a look at this DOM in the NASDAQ. These are the minis. Very, very thin, 1 or 2 at the bid and ask, an extreme spread. You're going to have slippage. You're going to have to deal with that spread. As soon as you enter at market, you're going to be instantly down 3 or 4 points if you're going to try and trade this overnight, maybe even tomorrow too. We don't know how long this is going to last. And then we take a look at the micros. So MNQ, micros. That's a little bit more stable, right? That's a little bit more stable. The bid and ask is a lot tighter. It's
5 ticks.
A couple ticks here and there. Yeah, as much as 5. So there's a big difference. It's a more liquidity. It's easier to manage your risk. And so if we do have traders, if you are a trader and you're not within that 5% limit up or limit down rule, or that 2% limit up or limit down rule, and this is the market to be in. Not exactly the NASDAQ, but micros, and maybe even use that lockout. Maybe take a step back, go enjoy a night out, and then come back to these markets the next day, or have a 4-day weekend, 5-day weekend. Why not? Maybe just skip out on farm and come back Monday and see where we're at.
Yep. And Charles is asking a question: can we trade NQ or not? Should we trade gold this week? You can trade NQ as long as it is not 5% at that 5% level. Would I suggest trading NQ? That's up to your discretion as a trader, right? Where Dakota just locked out his account. I just locked out mine. If you're going to trade it and I had to make a suggestion, I would say trade the micros if you had to place a trade. But we don't have to do anything. Gold making new all-time highs though. We can talk about that.
Yeah, we could take a look at gold. I still need to call my gold guy for MP in the chat. I'm talking about the gold, and every single day that goes by, I mean, we watch it keep going higher and higher. Gold's pretty volatile. I was thinking it would be going straight up, but we're not going as straight up as I thought. I mean, we did make all-time highs, right? But we're kind of just chopping back and forth here around 3170s. I don't know. Are you seeing anything different here in gold?
I'm just waiting for the rally to continue. We traded above 3200s after that new all-time high in gold, 320160. We got a little bit of a pullback. Gold likes to do this thing where it makes a new all-time high, pulls back 30 points. But I'm expecting this rally to continue with all of the news that we've had. And again, like you said, we don't think it's done. The one thing I kind of got from that, what's it called? From the press conference, right, was, okay. And I'm going to hang on this. He said these are, what did he say? Did he say they were mild reciprocal tariffs? And we talked about that a little bit.
Okay. Right? So, maybe we're gonna have a good talking point, Coach Jay, because yep. I actually had a meeting today with a Customs Border Patrol agent. It seems like I've had 1 or 2 every week anymore. I
kind
had one
was
on,
the word he used.
Yeah. Kind tariffs. He used the word kind or friendly. So I had one on Monday. I had another one today, and in comparison, what a lot of people are trying to say and do it, compare, and you seen he had that board that he pulled up, and then you're able to compare what they're charging us right? Versus what we're charging them to make it look kind, right? It's like,
Right.
yeah, you know, they're charging us 90%. We're going to only charge them 30%. But before we're charging 0. And so it relatively looks kinder, right? And if you're
Yep.
doing a comparison basis, let me switch it over to my chart. So that's kind of where the idea of kind, or they're not as hefty as what some of these other countries are charging. But either way, it's shocking. We're seeing these markets, you know, it's a very shock wave that came around the markets. I think it was unexpected, this dramatic, right? When he pulled up the board and we started talking about this high of tariffs, and it's like, if you charge me 60% and then I charge you 50%, you know, the difference only 5%, but it's ultimately ultimately not good. And I think what we're worried for is the retaliation, or what's going to be happening. That's the overall sentiment I've got, not just in my community that I know and I talk to, and not just in the supply chain, everywhere. That's the big question that I'm curious of myself in the upcoming 1 or 2 weeks, is how is the world going to react with today's news, with these tariffs? Like, how's this world, like, how's everybody going to react? I think that's what everyone's, you know, watching and seeing. That's what some of the supply chain professionals that I talk to, that's their number one concern. They don't want to move anything. They don't want to do anything yet until they see how these other countries are responding. And not only that, we have, like I said, we have non-farm payroll. Countries are going to see these markets going down. We were just talking about the Nikkei. You know, the whole world's watching. They're seeing these financial markets and the volatility that we're seeing as well. And there's going to definitely be some very interesting headlines come across. And Topstep's international. We have traders all around the world. These are futures. We trade all different futures markets. We have currencies. We're talking about currencies. We could take a look at, for example, we have like the euro dollar, the Japanese yen. Look at the Japanese yen. It's going straight up, right? So we have access to all of these different types of markets. And we're going to see volatility like this. It's the futures markets. I know we focus on the NASDAQ and like the ES and like a select handful, but Topstep is international with all of these different, you know, tradable instruments here in the futures. I mean, look at the spread on the dollar yen. It's one tick, whatever you want to call it. And so if you're seeing like the NASDAQ untradable, you know, there's opportunities elsewhere. I haven't traded the yen for very long, or I haven't traded it for a while. I know, is it Paul? You said, Coach Jay, that
I was actually on his scouting report at the buzzer today. I asked Paul every once in a while, hey, you know, outside of the markets that we look at all the time, is there something that you're looking at that has the potential to move? He said the yen, and he was looking to the upside. He trades it all the time. He usually swing trades it, but it does present some pretty good day trade opportunities.
Yeah. Perfect. I mean, that's a beautiful example where we're so narrowly focused on one market, and if that's not tradable, you have two choices. Just probably the best choice, number one, just to step away, don't trade it, wait for things to settle down. Number two, if you want to practice something, you could practice some other market that's not moving so sporadic. I mean, currency pairs. I know D talks about like gold's been moving a lot, right? I mean, it's not as wild as the NASDAQ at times. We talking about crude oil. Crude oil's selling off, right? Crude oil's straight down. That
Yep.
the $2 move in that. I mean, in the past few hours, right? So that's interesting.
Soybean oil.
What's okay, Jay? Okay, what's the symbol for? What's the symbol?
ZL. ZL. Look at the chart.
Okay.
It gapped down.
Okay. Yeah, we gapped down and we're rallying. Soybean oil. Wow. Okay, that is one heck of a chart, right? I've never traded this market before. someone shouting out natural gas. Let's take a look at natural gas. And I mean, it's interesting. So there's plenty of markets in these futures. I mean, copper is another one of those markets that's been in conversations, right? But yeah, I think just sitting on my hands, man. Sitting on my hands, talking about lean hogs, hoop, talking about cattle. Let's take a look. I mean, here's one. Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin and MicroStrategies. How are they?
Bitcoin sold off pretty hard. But we're still kind of in the, Bitcoin is still kind of holding up. If we look at the daily, we've been holding up the 200 moving average on the futures, 200 moving average on the daily. We've just been consolidating over it. So it looked like it sold off. It looked dramatic, but this is actually holding up better than the equities right now in comparison.
Interesting. It's interesting how gold's going up and Bitcoin's going down. Yeah,
right.
I don't have no idea, but I'm still so confused on the exact correlations on Bitcoin versus gold versus the equities. Sometimes it seems to have a mind of its own. Sometimes it seems to follow the equities, but it's just as volatile, right? Like if we measure that high and low of Bitcoin since that announcement, that's 7.5%. So still a very volatile market, and trade down, size down. That's all I could just keep saying. Size down, don't trade, just be patient, wait. There's no sense. Trying to predict this market is I couldn't imagine. I don't know if it's
Dakota,
just me.
Can you do me a favor? Can you pull up the 10-year on your side if you have it? ZN?
Yeah, ZN. Oh, is it going up?
It is. But look at that order book.
Yeah, there's that order book.
You don't have the data. You don't have the data for it. But even then, you could see it one level up, one level down. Those are markets that, even in this volatility, there's going to be some liquidity out there, right? I'm looking 10 levels up and down on Quantower right now, and there's still 2,000 lots sitting out there. So there are markets where there's still going to be volatile. But if you're not looking for 50 tick spreads, there are places that you can trade, or go outside and wait till the volatility dies down.
Yeah, go spend time with family, go eat dinner, do something else, right? And I just want to just continue to stress the difference between the different DOMs. Maybe I could add another DOM here, and we could do a nice side-by-side comparison of what, I don't know if using the word healthy is the right thing, but comparing the difference, right? Because traders need to see the difference on understanding a depth of market, understanding liquidity, understanding this concept. So over on the right, we have the NASDAQ mini. Over here on the left, I'll go to the NASDAQ micros. So pretty close to the same price, but you see that there's a visual representation of the difference between the two, of how one has a pretty tight bid and ask, right? The spread's not too bad. But over here in the NASDAQ, it's looking a lot better now, Coach Jay. It's looking a lot better, but still, you can see the difference. It's clear. And then we take a look at the ES. The ES, let's take a look at the ES. Okay, ES is a lot more stable. And then that MES probably looks pretty healthy. Yeah, that's much healthier right there.
Yep. Yeah, so it, like Hoag says, the blood is coming back into the market, and it should even more during the New York session. I'm still seeing some gaps in prices here in the NASDAQ, but it's why I wouldn't trade it right now. But we can continue to talk about them.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Any questions? Yeah, we can. Sony says, should we trade MES tomorrow then? I like that. I like that idea.
If you are trading, trade micros, whether it's ES or NQ or anything else. Like if you are going to trade tomorrow, I would just strongly suggest trade micros. Maybe there's I know I'm going to lock myself out until 30 minutes after the open, because we'll have the New York session open. That's volatile and could get crazy, and maybe 30 minutes after we might see some things start to stabilize. Then I'll be a little more tempted to trade 30 minutes after the New York session open. Things settle down.
Dakota, have you ever gotten caught in a halt?
No, No, not in
Never.
my day trading. Not in my day trading futures. In options, yes, I have. I have.
Yeah.
But that's something I'll swing over like weeks, right? And
Yeah.
COVID, there was plenty of halts.
Oh
COVID
yeah.
was
I definitely got caught in some like low cap, no cap stocks, and I'm like, oh, why am I trading this thing? And then all of a sudden, the chart stops moving, Dom stops moving, and I'm like, oh, wait, we're stuck in this position. It's nice when the halt when it gets unhalted and it moves in your favor, but when it moves against you, uh, not fun at all. Coach
Robert.
Robert says he was caught. He was
Yeah,
caught once. Yeah, it's not fun.
yeah. I couldn't imagine getting caught in a halt day trading. That's got to be the worst feeling ever, because
Yeah.
usually when you're day trading, you have more leverage than when you're holding a trade for over a month, right?
Yep.
And you don't really care about the little small incremental price action. But when you're day trading here, you're looking at points, right? You're trying to make ticks, and that could be scary. That's for
Yep.
sure. I definitely do not want to be caught in a halt or even close, right? That's why we're talking about levels. That's why we're talking about the 2%. And remember, the 2% rule, it does not only apply for the downside. It also applies for the upside. Very rarely do we get 7% up in a day, but it's definitely can be possible. It's always fear that leads this market to hitting those circuit breakers sometimes.
Yeah, what would that even look like if we were to get a 7% day? Because it would have to be news, right? It would have to be like, hey, actually, this was a late April Fool's joke. Um,
Yeah.
there are actually no tariffs, and we
Was
just go to
there
the
a
upside.
limit up or a circuit breaker to the upside? Was there any limits during COVID to the upside? I think that'd be the only
I feel like there might have been one.
interesting. Yeah,
I
interesting.
feel like there might have been one to the upside during COVID, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
I know there were a couple to the downside.
Yeah, and it's based on percentage, not points, because yeah, I know if yeah, this market from the top. I mean, a moment ago we were at 20,000. Everyone, just remember, a moment ago we were at 20,000, and from the high to the low, that's 1,200 points here in the Nasdaq. And just imagine if somebody's holding a single contract throughout this 1,200 points. That's what? That's $24,000 on one contract here in the Nasdaq. $24,000 on
Yep,
one contract. Wow.
would have cost you double the margin to hold it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, if you guys, I seen you in the chat. There's a reason why brokers doubled the margin, increased margin rates before times and during times of high volatility. And this is a beautiful example of why. So unpredictable. We get stops, 7%, 20,000, 14 NQ points. Just going through reading some chat. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll try our best to answer them. Covering these markets, like I said, this is going to continue maybe throughout the rest of the day, the next 24 hours, maybe even in through non-farm payroll. It's crazy. It really is. Hopefully things settle down.
Let's take a look at the levels for this gap. In the S&P, we closed at 55.84 half, opened up 55.50. But remember, the percentage numbers that we're looking at, settlement was much higher in the S&Ps. So we can go with this price gap here, 55.84 half down to 55.50. But settlement was up at, let me get that price. It was much higher. It was somewhere up near 5,700s. So when you look at that percentage, remember it's marking it from settlement. So there's a much bigger gap if we're looking at it that way.
Okay. Yeah. So real quick, so the limit up only applies during overnight. There's no limit up during the U.S. session. That's interesting. Interesting. There we go. Nightbot. Plugging in Instagram. Wow. Seems like some complicated risks. So 2% plus 5%, it closes you out. It depends. Like it's like a circuit breaker, right? If the market goes so far so fast, then it halts for a period of time.
Are you guys analyzing stats? We want to do some stats tonight, Dakota?
Yeah, we could do it near the end. I mean, like I said, these markets come first right now. I'm
Yep.
just making sure everyone understands what's going on, understands about the limits, understands about everything.
A market that's getting close again. The Russell is continuing to sell. Right now, the Russell is down 4.68%. So for the 3 Russell traders that we have out there, you are approaching that limit that we cannot trade.
Zoro says, wow, Dakota, you not commenting on my comment. Thought it was about interaction both ways. I have no idea what that means, man. No idea what that means. I just commented on that comment. Why is it getting hard to trade these days and how to avoid over trading? Size down. I recommend less than 10 trades a day. 10 trades a day and less. Anything more than 10, I consider over trading. For myself, anything more than 5 trades a day is pretty high. We sound like a bunch of geeks.
Isn't that what we are? We sit here and stare at lines going up and down on charts all day.
Numbers. Yeah, these are numbers. Numbers going up and down.
Right.
I am not going to be putting in an overnight trade. I'm locked out. Not during this price. Not during this price.
All right. Someone's asking for the exact price of 5% down in the NASDAQ. Settlement was 19,758.
Look at that.
5% is 18,772. Right. That's a rough estimate. Don't hold me to it. Don't be in a trade and it hits 18,773 and you say, hey, well, you said 772. If it gets close, there we go, Coach Robert, 18,770. Don't trade around those prices.
Okay. And then it resets after the next settlement, correct?
Correct.
Yep. So after tomorrow at the same time, it's going to be different.
As that kind of just chopping around 19,000 here.
The chat's going too fast, everyone. If I missed it, copy paste, baby. Don't spam it, just copy paste. Do you guys think it's a good idea not to trade tomorrow? Sure. It's very volatile. I think size down, wait for the market to stabilize a little bit, and then sure. Here's the thing: we're day traders. Day traders love volatility. We're getting volatility now. We need to be able to trade. Oh man, how do we do that? Because it's almost like a catch-22. It's like we love volatility as day traders, but this is too volatile. There's definitely a sweet spot, right, where we want volatility, but we also want liquidity and predictable.
It's like cake.
Yeah,
it's like cake. I love cake, but when you cut a slice of cake that's too big, it's just like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah,
it's too much cake.
Too sweet, too bitter. And it's like, I want good price action. That's what I want. Very volatile, but good price action. We've seen some good price action today in the New York session. During that whole entire sell-off, right? This major sell-off, you can argue that was, crazy. Like, how do you get in? How do you get out in a live account? When we first opened up, that was pretty crazy. Now we're starting to see. Now, when I'm watching this, is maybe price action is looking a little bit better now. We're not within 2% yet, right? We're down just under 4% right now. We're down -3, -3.7, 3.8, and we're starting to see the market stabilize a little bit. We've seen buyers coming in, and so there's definitely opportunity, but you have to manage your risk. That needs to be the number one question as you place a trade. Where do I manage risk?
Let's switch over to your screens, Dakota.
How do I manage risk? Oh, and there we go. And so, yeah, there we go. I'm just watching this, looking at this price action. You can see this price action in these 900s when we're selling off. It's a bit sporadic. I was talking about the bid and the ask, right? The bid and the ask. And comparing that to, what is good price action? What's a stable market? And then we're zooming into the 100 tick chart, and I like to do this analysis to say, is it make sense to trade? We love volatility, But I mean, you have to manage risk first.
100%. And does the rule apply to combines? I don't believe it does. It is on the Topstep website. So let's just read through that. Let's just make sure. Don't want to misquote. What are you laughing at, Dakota?
You answered a Peach comment.
I don't know.
I don't know. Dakota, do you consider risk management the most important aspect of trading? Yes. Yep. Risk management to me is the most important part about trading. Dakota, what's the biggest live account trade you made on slow markets, not fast markets? Which day or episode? I've had a few big trades. One with you, Coach Jay. I had 30 long minis. I made like...
Was that Nikkei or NASDAQ?
It was the NASDAQ, not the Nikkei. I think I made like 11 or 12,000 on that one. I don't know. It's been a while. I don't know. You have to... I don't have that stuff memorized. I feel bad for long-term traders, but it's kind of interesting to witness this. I don't feel bad for long-term traders. Now remember, long-term traders are looking long-term. What we're seeing now is intraday, weekly, maybe a month. When I think of long-term, when I think of retirement, when I think of 401ks, I'm thinking 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. And the market, the U.S. market has been through a lot, yes, and will have big events come and go. And, this could definitely be an opportunity for money to be put to work on maybe some good companies. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe next week, maybe when things start to stabilize.
Settle down a little bit.
Settle down, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they say buy the dip anyway. Now, that might not be on a daily basis or weekly, but, in 20 years from now, maybe we look back at this and say, yeah, this could have been a good opportunity to put some long-term cash into the money. Maybe Warren Buffett sitting all that cash.
Looking at NVIDIA right now, trading $105 in the overnight session.
105?
So,
I remember it was down at like 98 back in August.
A couple months ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So, in August, yep.
I mean, we're still higher than that.
You know what's holding up pretty nice, Dakota?
Gold. What?
CVS.
Build-A-Bear. Is Build-A-Bear holding up? That was my stock of last year.
Trade of the year by CVS at $47. There was a question. What should I risk on my 50K XFA? Say no more than 10% of the drawdown in a day. That should be your max loss limit. Right, so the drawdown limit to start on the day is $2,000. So don't risk more than 10% of that.
Yeah. Let's look. Where can we see these markets going to? I'm going to do a quick analysis, technicals, now that things start to settle down just a little bit, Coach Jay. Now, I'm looking, we've seen this, the low of August. I'm looking that this market could have a very realistic chance to return to 18,100, maybe some of these August lows, 18,100, 18,400. I post that on the Twix, on the Twitter, Monday, I think. Monday, maybe it was Sunday. I was asking, can this market see 18,200, these lower 18,000s? Well, we are on our way. If this market continues, this would be the first level I would be looking at and considering, could this be a buying opportunity? Maybe there's an argument for a little bit higher. It's a bigger zone. I'm not sure, but we definitely need some more market structure now after this news. Maybe non-farm payroll will be that, will be the signal, will be the cause of us to move all the way down here or find some type of support. I thought we was getting it. It was looking good. It was looking good for a few days until That's kind of usually how it works, right? Looks good for a couple days and right back down.
Looks great until it doesn't. If we can pull up my charts real quick, I did mark out some levels during doing the Sunday kickoff.
Yeah, let's go. Let's see it.
So these are trading view charts. This is the NDX, the underlying asset for the NASDAQ futures that we're trading. And because this is closed, we're not seeing this price action. But when we open up tomorrow, we'll be somewhere down here near this 19,000. The level I have down here, 17,800, is what would be officially a bear market. Let me get these ads out of here. But this would be officially bear market down here. We're probably opening up tomorrow down about 15%, somewhere around there. So another 5% to go. Right now we're in what's called correction territory. And then if we look at the futures, a little bit different, but we are right now right at that 15% level. 20% puts us at, what is that? Right below 18,000. Right above 18,000, like 18,003 from the all-time high.
Interesting. Yeah, 50. And what markets? That's the NASDAQ. Okay.
This is the NASDAQ, yep.
Yeah. Correction territory. We still have some, I mean, this market could still keep going down as well.
For sure, there's a lot of room.
Sorry says, Dakota, have you changed or tweaked your strategy at all, considering you're in a drawdown right now, or are you still stuck in your process? No, I've been making adjustments. Monday turned out to be an amazing day. Monday, I made just over 9,000. Last night, you guys seen a trade. I gave back 5,000, so I'm up just over 4,000 for this week still. And this just obviously markets change. We see that happen very fast. We've seen it happen today where, right after the bell, the NASDAQ shot up to 20,000 and then we sold off to we're sitting at 19,000. So even though we might think, okay, this market's starting to stabilize, we're finding, some type of structure, news event, something happens, market changes. We are now in a new environment today than we were over the past few days. And now we have non-farm payroll coming out Friday. So tomorrow is going to be different than Friday. And then how's next week going to be? And it's honestly, these changes in these markets, it's rapid. Like we need to adjust as traders a lot quicker than what we used to, at least than I remember over the, it's been these markets have been changing so frequently, Jay.
Yeah, they have. We got a question here from Jared. What's the best way you've both have found to fight anger in trading? The one thing that has held me back is getting angry at minor things. It's my competitive nature, but it's a killer. Right? I think as traders, we do have to be competitive, right, Dakota? But how do you deal with that competitive nature in trading?
I shared a speech. Did you get to watch?
I did watch that,
Coach Jay?
I did watch that. Yeah. Yep.
What's your thought on that speech? If you guys didn't know it, it's David Foster Wallace's. He had a commencement speech, and that was such a great speech. If you've watched it, if not, I posted it on Twitter, on X, and it's 22 minutes long, and it really helped me put that different perspective. Like you're driving on the highway and you get behind a slow driver and you get pissed off at that slow driver, but you don't really know why. Obviously you jump to the conclusion that this guy's an idiot driver, and then you pass them. It's like, oh, actually they're coming from the hospital and they have a newborn and they're driving slow for a reason, right?
Right.
So I try and do it. Like we never know what the reason is behind why somebody does something, and it's a different perspective. I look at something and I see this. Someone else looks at something and they see that. I don't know, but when it comes to my anger, when I do get angry at myself or get angry at my own trading or a mistake that I made, I go boxing. I take it out on the heavy bag. That's where I let my anger out.
Good stuff. For me, I go get a workout in, go lift some weights, go outside, just do anything to kind of forget about the charts. And like you said, you're competitive, but the one thing that's a little bit different with having that competitive nature in the markets, if I'm competitive and I'm a basketball player, I can kind of impose my will on the game to force it to go the way that I want, and I still may not get the results that I'm looking for. In the markets, I cannot force these markets to do anything. So you really have to accept that, like, hey, I'm a really small fish in this overall market, and I don't control it, right? My job is to be a follower of where the market goes based on a game plan because I cannot control it, right? That competitive nature, I think, almost does a disservice sometimes because we're used to being able to control outcomes. The only thing you can control with your trading is the downside. So you're really competing with yourself.
Yeah, you can control where you get in and when you get out, but you can't control where you get out.
Right.
Yeah, you can't. So much stuff is just out of our control, right? We can only control what we can.
Andrew is hilarious.
I seen that. Andrew's getting too old, yelling at the kids outside. Grumpy Grandpa, just passed your first combine. What happens next? Well, you should be getting an email when you pass your combine. The following, if you pass tonight, for whatever reason you're trading these crazy markets, then tomorrow after the close, you should get an email with giving you those instructions.
And just a reminder, because I'm seeing the comments in the chat again, if you're trading the equity markets and it's nearing 5% down, you do not want to be in a trade with the Topstep account.
Oh, look at Shep's new hip. Yes, man, you've been around for a while. I like that. Correct. Money is a tool. Just like a construction worker uses a shovel, just like a carpenter uses a hammer and nails, we're traders. We use money as a tool to do our job. And we can't be connected emotionally to money, right? So that's the emotional connection, the way that we are connected to money. Since we're babies, since we're kids, right? We know that money is what we use to get the things that we want. Coach Jay, that's 5% down from sentiment. Why should we not be in a trade if the market goes down 5%? Were we ever 5% or more down once overnight opened? Yeah, during COVID, we were down a lot. Tonight, we're not. We're down, 3.7%. The NASDAQ, yes. Not the NASDAQ, the Nikkei. The Nikkei was so volatile. The Nikkei was within those limits. If we look at my chart, look at the Nikkei from high to low, 8.36%. 8.36%. We're down 3.74%, and that is after we've rallied over 4%. I don't know the exact settlement price, but as you can imagine, if we go down, we're at 3.7. So if we went down another 1.125, so we're really close in the Nikkei. I just wouldn't recommend trading if you're uncertain. If you don't know, then the best thing is to either just go to the support. You can hop into Topstep's Discord. We have some great moderators and some great support in Discord. If you don't know, best to not trade. Dying voice, dude. Yeah, it's best to not trade this price action. Yep. And unless you feel very confident, you understand everything that's going on, and then you trade smaller size. Anyone thinking we'll be limit down at the open is wrong. We will either make a triple bottom or rally all night and tomorrow morning to fill the gap. You never know, JJ. You just never know. Dakota, you have your Series 3? Yeah, I have my Series 3. I also have my Series 30. Yep, Trader Mike. What do we do, Coach Jay? What do we do?
I'm just scanning around, and seeing what's going on. The markets seem to kind of have settled down a little bit. The spread in the Nasdaq is not as wide as it was before. It's 8 ticks now, 2 points. But yeah, it's still really no trading opportunities. I think the New York session is going to be very interesting. We do have 76 contracts sitting on the bid at 19,000 evens in the Nasdaq. Kind of just holding price up there. But yeah, not really much to do as far as opportunity. I think we answer questions, see if there's any more volatility. I think the financial world in general is just maybe taking a deep breath right now and settling down. Is the Nikkei still rallying?
Yeah, I was watching the Nikkei, and we're kind of just doing exactly like the Nasdaq. We had a nice little rally off the lows, and we're kind of just consolidating. Maybe there's going to be a period of, like usually, some digestion, consolidation, and London's going to be crazy. Like I said, I think the biggest part right now in the next couple of weeks, I think there's a lot of people going to be waiting to see what these other countries do regarding tariffs. I mean, we made a big move. We made a big move after hours in both directions. We hit 20,000 in the Nasdaq. We're up almost 2-3% in the Nasdaq, and then just completely sold off. And this is the daily chart. If we zoom in back to the 5-minute, like this is.
I think you're on my screen, Dakota. I was sharing the tariffs.
Oh yeah, no, good. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, this was the board he was holding up, right, during his yeah.
Showing off his book report. But yeah, these are the numbers we had here.
Yeah, I mean, when you compare them, they don't look as bad, right? But some of these were zero, correct?
Yeah.
I believe some of these were zero. So yes, when you look at it like this and you compare it like this, it does not look bad at all. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You're like, oh, wow, they're, putting tariffs on us for 97%. We're only doing it for 49% and this. But you have to realize going from 0 to 26% is huge, right?
Right.
Like that's big. That's very, very big. And then doing it to so many different countries. And I think what caught these markets off guard was I don't think it was so big on some of these, and I don't think it was. Are these just general? Are these general? I haven't done a lot of research, but are these general, like on all products?
I think so, and I think the all products was like a 10%. If I'm remembering correctly, it was like 10% on like everything. And then,
is Mexico on there?
Mexico's not on here. Canada's not on here either.
So here's something that a lot of people don't talk about. You guys are going to only get this here. I'm not under an NDA when I talk about this stuff, so I don't mind talking about this stuff.
Here we go.
Here we go. Yeah, I mean, it's if you guys want to know, I'll just take 2 minutes. So the U.S., Canada, and Mexico they have a free trade agreement, right? Or you don't pay duties. So what a lot of companies were doing is they would import a lot of the materials into Mexico. Yeah, Jake knows NAFTA, right? Yep, exactly. Yes. So would import a lot of these components, we'll call it components, into Mexico, reassemble it, and it's now made in Mexico. Even though we have this part from China, this part from Vietnam, this part from another country, we ship them all into Mexico, form a finished good, and then we'll ship them into the U.S. And save a ton in tariffs. So I think, like I said, it's going to be very, very important how these other countries react to this. Like, what are they going to do? Like, for example, Chile. Why don't we just put it at 0 for both? Right? Like, why 10% both ways? I mean,
Australia the same way.
Yeah, like it's going to be interesting to see what these other countries do and react to this. And I think that's what's bringing a lot of questions into this market. There will
Back
be
to the
loopholes.
charts.
Yeah, there's always loopholes. Trust me. It's a big game. If you ever seen a tariff book, it's just freaking huge. I mean, people get master's degree in import, export, and tariff codes. Tariff codes are you'll never understand them. It's a big game. What about the price of eggs? He said it's a minimum to cross border. Everyone taking advantage of the U.S. 10% is not the same. Yes, was just posting general statements. Oh, let's see what this is. Oh,
What
there
are you
you
looking
go.
at over there?
Yeah, hey, I'm cautious when clicking links anymore. Yeah. Yeah, there's the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement. Yep, Coach Jay.
You got my screen up still if you
Yeah,
want to.
yeah, I know. I'm not showing it. I'm just saying
okay.
Coach Jay in that link. I've went through this. I almost had to go to court once to get approval on made in America versus manufactured in Mexico versus assembled. Well, I guess wording is very important, Coach Jay. Made in, assembled, manufactured, filled. You're filling bottles of vial like of a fragrance. Like all these little details can make a difference on 10%, 20%, and there's so much of the details that I think people are waiting for as well on how these tariffs will come into effect.
Starting to trade into the gap in the NASDAQ, this price gap that we had. Remember, I'm kind of looking at two different gaps. We have this price one from the official close, and then we have the settlement gap, which is much higher. We're trading into it now. 1920 is the low, 19152 up at the highs here.
Yeah, I mean, NASDAQ has that gap that it's not filled. You're at 50%, right?
Yeah, we're right at 50%. Yep, we kind of rejected right at 50%.
We touched the low of after hours, right? Before we closed and after we opened, we touched right at 077, 078, that resistance zone.
Yep.
Below the candle, yep.
Yeah, this low here. Yeah, rejected right at it.
According to my local news tonight, the price of eggs have started coming down. NQ is in a little on the DOM. It's nothing I'd want to. Yeah, NQ is looking a little bit better. And if I'm looking at the depth of market,
let's see. This is just a TV combine here. If I market order, I'm down almost $35 right away.
Here, let's see it. Show us. Show everybody in the back. Get a good demonstration. See. It's just a practice.
Market. Actually, it's as soon as the market moves, I'm down $50.
50.
Yeah, not worth it.
Yeah, 3 or 4 points instantly. Coach Jay, can you explain trading within 2% of price limit? So I know there's going to be traders coming and going, and so let's reiterate it one time now, and then we'll reiterate it one more time before we end. But it is pinned to the top of the YouTube chat. Thanks, Coach Robert. If you've missed it, traders here should not be trading within 2% of the price limits. For example, if the NASDAQ goes down 5%, you should not be trading because max, the limit is 7%. 2%, if 7, right, 5%. You can see it. There's the help article in the YouTube chat. Let me click on it and we could just bring it up. I'll bring it up. Let's go over it for a moment because it's very important. Briefly go over, you could click that link, you could watch this video, you could go through and read this. It's very important if you have that question. It's really bright on my eyes.
This white screen.
Yeah, okay. All right, we're taking that. Oh, okay. But there it is.
And this price is from settlement. Dakota, if you can bring up my screen again. Shout out to Coach Robert. Settlement price multiplied by 0.95. So the NASDAQ settled at 19,758 times 0.95. 18,770 is that price. If anybody can give me the S&P settlement, we'll do the math, but you can do it on your own. Multiply settlement price by 0.95. Thank you, Coach Robert. And that is the price that it would be that 5%.
Yeah. And answering some of those questions, if you do, then your position would just be closed. I did confirm with the risk management team before coming on air because I wanted to make sure I'm not misspeaking. Topstep has live risk managers, like a person watching these markets overnight, watching accounts, and let's just say, for example, we are within, the market keeps selling off and we get down 6%. If somebody places a trade, they can see it. They'll close it. They'll give a warning. And yes, you do not want to place a trade. If you forget, or if by mistake you don't realize it, or if you're trading you don't know, just understand that's what's going to happen.
Yep. Sambor says, I'm pissed if they close my position. Don't have a position. That's a good way to not have it closed.
Yes. Just don't have a position. I mean, there's nothing to get upset about, right? I mean, it's like somebody knowing that a news event's coming out and you hold a position into it and it goes against you and you lose money, and then you get upset because you lost money, right? That's the reality of trading. I mean, it's good risk management, even if it's in your personal account. I mean, you just seen Coach Robert was caught in a limit down, limit up. It's just very wise not to be trading during insane volatility as a day trader. Now, I swing options, right? I swing options. I've been caught into it, but that's longer term perspective. Opening up your own personal brokerage account, that's obviously different. You can do what you want on your personal brokerage account. I've done that. I ran into bad positions. I've been in bad situations in my personal brokerage account as well. I listened to your advice. I have a 50K XFA and I'm up 3.4. Just taking base hits. Great trade. Great work. Coach Jay. Can you still trade the Nikkei? You can, as long as we are not within the limit. So once again, click that link. You can still trade any markets that are not within the limits. Markets are open right now. Size down. Do I trade Dakota trading naked options? Hey, all my options are covered. No naked, nothing naked. The only thing I do naked is we're not going to go there.
And if the article doesn't make sense, put it in ChatGPT and ask it to explain it to you.
Yeah, or Topstep's Discord. Topstep's Discord as well if you need yeah. Oh man. I always yeah. You talking about covered calls. Yeah, covered calls, cash secured puts. Man, talk about it. Tomorrow, does it close lads? Chat's on one tonight, man. Chat. I'm not seeing anything that's even remotely tempting.
Not even close.
I'm not even looking at trades, to be honest. I'm just thinking, you know what? To be honest, going into tomorrow, I am on fast markets tomorrow morning, everybody. And I think for me, it's just, let's just see what happens. I mean, there's going to be a lot that happens between tonight and tomorrow. And whether we're up or down, what would be your game plan for tomorrow? Just wait and see. Do you even have any ones?
For me, it's a wait and see for sure. There's definitely going to be some volatility. I want to see how the market responds when we get most of the volume for the day, and then we'll make some decisions from there. But I'm not super eager to just jump into a position either.
Oh wow! Kevin Gators, MP just tweeted, someone took out almost $500,000 payout. Uh-oh. Is that who I think it is? Is that who it is? I'm going to show this. I'm going to show this one. Yeah, this is a positive. Let me switch it to my charts. Big shout out. MP coming in. I'm going to zoom in on that one. That's some positivity. While we're watching this market, When you earn it, we pay it. We need to now see the live accounts going up to, okay, going through that. But big shout out to you, KJ. Largest ever at Topstep live payout, 456,000. The biggest, the largest. Love it. Love to see it. I was that for a little bit, but here we are. My biggest one was 225, something like that. But beautiful. Wow. April 2nd. What a day to get that payout too. That's got to feel good.
That is amazing.
Wow. Big shout out to you. That deserves celebration.
We've been seeing KJ kind of post some P&L posts every day. I think he was in that live account for about 45 days or so. And I think started off struggling a little bit in the beginning, had some losing days, then turned it around and clearly trading really well. That's a crazy payout.
Yeah.
Congrats.
That's big. That's awesome to see. Trading in the live account doing well, and then being able to take a payout like that. I mean, there's nothing like it. That's beautiful to see. KJ got liberated. Man, he's a happy person today. That's for sure. That is for sure. Wow. Was he still limited to 15 contracts? I'm not sure. Once you're in a live account, you actually could work with the risk managers, and you could trade. I mean, the sky's the limit, right? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him trading 50 contracts, 20 contracts. You're not limited once you get to a live account. Once you get to a live account, you can work with the risk management team, and they can open you up. I had access to like 40 contracts. $15,000 day loss limit. It's flexibility. You earn that. You show consistency. You trade well, and I like the sky's the limit.
Somebody said the Nikkei is only down 3.9% traded.
It's just hearing all these rules is daunting. I miss 2024 stops. What rules would be daunting? These limit rules have always been there.
They've been there.
It's we haven't had to really talk about these limit rules very often, and it's regular, right? It's like there's something there, and you don't know it's there until it gets talked about it.
Yep, that rule has been here. I've been with Topstep for 2 years. That's been there as long as I know, and I think even longer. So, not a change. Like Dakota said, we just don't talk about it often because it doesn't happen often.
Yeah, and then there's standard rules. Yeah, there's standard rules. I mean, you even said it today, Coach Jay. Everyone with a brokerage account got email saying that their margin was increased,
Yep.
Which means, like, if you're trading $10,000 with a margin, you now only have access to half of that, and nobody knows that because it's like, oh well, where did that come from? How did you know? You're not going to call your broker and say, yeah, what the heck, man? You suck. Why didn't you tell me? It's across the board. It's across the board.
Also, you are not restricted from trading right now, right? That price is $18,770. That is almost 300 points away. You could take all the trades you want between here and 300 points lower if we get there. Just once we get there, don't trade. So Correct. If that's restrictive, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. We're just not. Coach Jay and I were choosing not to trade in this volatility and this the spread that we're seeing. These markets are open. You can trade them right now, but it's very important to understand what that rule is. It really is. We just seen the Nikkei hit it, right? I'm going to switch over to the Nikkei, and yeah, look how insane volatile the Nikkei is from top to bottom. Like I said, top to bottom, the Nikkei was down over 8.5%, 8%. We did hit that rule. The Nikkei was down almost 7% from settlement. Right now we're sitting about almost minus 4%, and that's already after it's rallied, 3.5%. So Nikkei was down 7% at one point. This is very, very volatile. It can be scary. It's very scary. I posted about that, and we talked about it, Coach Jay, about 300 contracts coming in at the bid on Nikkei. That's something I've never seen before. trading
Yeah.
the Nikkei. I was joking. Maybe it's maybe it's Japan coming in and holding up the futures. Someone placing a really big order.
You said those got filled, right?
I didn't see it get filled or not. I was.
You remember what price they were?
It was 34,000. Oh, what was it?
Was it evens?
Let me see.
It definitely got filled.
Let me see. I'm looking to find out what price I did it. It is 34,200. 34,200. Their plunge protection team.
Guys, if you're looking for the ES level, I think I put it in the chat recently, but again, settlement times 0.95. You could probably find it faster than I could type it, but settlement times 0.95. But yeah, those contracts definitely did get filled, Dakota.
They did?
Here. Let me see if I can pull this chart over there. I have it up on Quant Tower to see that data.
It's $25 per tick per contract in the Nikkei, so it could get pretty crazy. I wouldn't trade. Swings are way too big, and 20-point stop loss will get ran straight through on pullbacks and slippage, right? And slippage. Not only do you see this high and extreme volatility, you put a trade on, and if it moves really quick, I mean, look at the DOM in the Nasdaq. Coach Jay and I have been talking about this all night. Look at that. If we move very fast, there's slippage. You get in, get out. I mean, that's 2-3 points, and it's changing very, very fast. Even though you can trade, doesn't mean you should.
I'm pulling up a different chart over here, Dakota. I'll let you know when I have it up so we can take a look at how those got filled.
Yeah, no problem. There's MP in the chat. Giving shout outs to that almost $500,000 payout to KJ. Hopefully he's going to shout him out again tomorrow morning. What about to account if you violate? What happens? I believe you just get a warning. Like I said, Topstep does have risk managers watching, paying attention. And $500,000. Yeah, rewatch it. I pulled him up. Traders were mentioning over here there in the Twitterverse, largest Topstep TV payout ever. Topstep. MP is the reason
Dakota,
why.
can you explain slippage?
Yes. Okay. Let's talk about it. Slippage. Oh, it's a 4-letter word. It's a cuss word sometimes, to be honest. Let's say when the floor is wet. Oh yeah, yep. There it is. That's what we was talking about. This that post MP. I pulled it up on stream, and man, beautiful. 410K. So what slippage is, everybody? It's when you're trying to get in or out of the market and you get a different price than what your order was. So it doesn't happen on limit orders, right? If I want to sell limit at 34, this is just a practice, so I'm going to show you. So if I want a sell limit at this price of 34,980, well, I'm going to get 34,980. Whatever this price is, 970. Right now it's 970. That's a limit order. However, if it's a stop order, let's just say it's a buy stop, that just means I want to get in. It turns into a market order. So as soon as price touches 34,960, it's going to give me the next available price. Now that price might be higher, it might be lower. Most of the time, if the market's moving very fast, it's going to be higher. So even though I put stop market buy at 34,960, if this market's moving very fast, I might be getting 975, 980, and that's during a very volatile market. And so I'm not going to be getting the price I want. It's the same as if you're in a position and you try and get out at market. It's the same thing. You're probably going to be getting a different price during high volatile times. And we're looking at this on the Nasdaq, and you can see this DOM, try and get into a market order, and you can imagine, oh, well, maybe I wanted to get this or that, or a stop loss order, right? Say you have a stop loss turns into a market order once it's touched, and you get the next available price. Well, if the next available price isn't until like 5 points, 10 points below your stop loss, even though your stop loss is set for you to lose, say, $500, you might end up with a $600 loss because this market's moving so fast and there's not enough liquidity there for you. On any order, Alan, that's the definition of a stop loss. You have a stop loss. A stop loss turns into a market order. There's no stop, and it depends on what you're referring to as stops. There's a stop limit order to get you in and can get you out, but those don't guarantee a fill. It's a stop market order. A stop loss is referring to a stop market, meaning once it goes against you to a certain point, it will close your trade out at market, not limit. No, because sometimes it will not fill. Limit orders do not always fill if that price is touched. There has been times, well, it skipped it. I've seen limit orders get skipped. Very, very rarely. Yeah, slippage is setting a small stop before the Liberation Day speech and getting filled 100 points below.
I forgot. I didn't see who said it in the chat. Vasco Broma says, slippage is when you click buy and the market here surprise me.
It's like, what do you want for dinner, honey? Surprise me. Oh. Tech, it's crazy how knowledgeable. I mean, this is what I've been in this market since I was a kid. It's a lot. It's a lot. Got my Series 3, got my Series 30. Been trading for a very long time.
So Dakota, if you can pull up my charts real quick, we can see how those Nikkei orders got filled.
Okay,
can you guys see this? I don't know if this is clear at all, but Dakota was saying we had about 300 lots sitting at 34,200 in the Nikkei. And it didn't all get filled at one time, right? You said it, Dakota, right? It came down and kind of tested that order a couple of times. These are all 3-minute candles, but these are what are called cluster charts. There's a bunch of different platforms that have this. This is just Quantower showing it. Okay. So we came down, traded 53 of those contracts at that price, bounced from there, traded another 14 of those contracts at that price, bounced again, and then traded 18 and then just sold all the way through it. And then in this 3-minute candle, we had about 400 contracts trade out. So it looks like they took that order in pieces, and then whatever was left here kind of just sold right through it.
Yeah, because that's when it just tanked. It just
tanked from there.
And now we recovered. Nasdaq is, we're up above 19,080s. I'm curious to see if we fill this gap. The gap fill in the Nasdaq is 151. So yeah, man, those orders getting filled. Those are big orders too on the Nikkei. So we still have 60 points to go, 60 plus points to go to fill the gap from just tonight. This almost feels like a Sunday night gap, and it's not even non-farm. Non-farm is yet to come. Dakota, you've been trading since you were in diapers, according to what you suggested. I've been trading since I can remember. I remember my first experience with trading too. I thought I had it all figured out with candlestick patterns. I memorized them all. I have been watching the market. So here's an interesting story. My mom was addicted to fast markets. No. Mad Money with Jim Cramer. Yeah.
My parents used to watch that all the time.
When he first came out, I was like 12, 13 at a time in junior high, and I would watch it and I would try and figure out and memorize chart patterns and think I was going to become super rich, memorizing chart patterns, thinking I knew everything. And yeah, that's where the addiction began for me. I was hooked. I got signed on to old Scott Trades account as soon as I turned 14, and yeah, that's been it. Look at this market bouncing now. That was a 40-point bounce here in the NASDAQ.
Filling that gap. Now, traders, you don't have to worry as much about that 5% level because we're moving in the opposite direction of it.
Yeah. Hey, who's trading tonight? Who's trading tonight in the chat? Can we do a poll? Why do I count the gap from 151 instead of 100? Because that's the close of this candle. That's the close of this candle. So I consider the gap at 151, 152. Me. Robert can do the poll. Are you trading? Yes or no? I am. Micros. I'm 5-0 tonight in a combine. I'm long. Never again. Only New York and London session going forward. That's also a great choice. I caught the whole move. Okay, fire drill. Okay. I'm in it to win it in my CFD. Can we trade now? You can trade now. Yeah, you can. But like I said, it's understanding what the risks are, managing your risk, understanding the volatility, size down, trade micros. I locked myself out until tomorrow. I'm not going to be trading until 30 minutes after the New York session open. So that way I can at least see what the market's going to do, give the markets time to digest everything that's going on, let the London session open, let the New York session open for 30 minutes, and then start watching the market. So I'm going to vote not me.
Yep, I'm voting not me as well. Dakota, if you can pull up my charts real quick one more time.
Yeah.
Something we talked about during At the Buzzer, the highest volume on that sell-off that we had during the tariff announcements, the 3-minute range is 19,356 down to 19,117. I anchored a VWAP there, and we started to hold above that VWAP, and we talked about it during At the Buzzer. Does the market trade back through this imbalance, or does it leave it there? All right, so that's kind of what we're testing right now, 19,115 at the low. We can see that VWAP is still below it right now. If we start to accept above 19,115, then looking for market to rotate up to 235. But if we reject here and get back under this VWAP, then, looking for it to continue to sell. But we can see once we got above it, it starts to act as a support and buying coming in here. But major level, they got to get through up here.
Man, this market, there's a lot of orders going through this market, man. A lot of orders going through. I'm watching. There's the tilt. Well, there's the tilt. I'm watching this tilt over here. 53% long, 47% short. This is the scary thing, everybody. This is the scary thing. 47% short. The average short price, 19,040. That's over 60 points lower. So are the shorts just holding? The average long is paying out pretty good. But I'm seeing these big contracts coming through now, Coach Jay. There's 100 contracts sitting out the bid. Will they get filled? And I've seen a few bigger orders come through. Like there's, moments ago, it got filled. There we go. There's big size coming through right now. 57 got filled. Big money coming in and out of these markets.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Usually we'd see those big orders just they disappear right before they get there.
Yep.
Zero, what are you referring to? What are you referring to?
I don't know.
They are moving stop losses up over. Hold on to your butts during this. Love it. Man, these markets. Tomorrow is not going to be slow for sure. Tonight hasn't been slow as well. What's your best risk management advice on a 50K account? Use micros, please. Trade coal. Last time I watched coal prices is at the coal mine. Good old Bob Murray from Murray Energy. If you know what I'm referring to. Talk about the price of coal on a daily freaking basis. Powell will be buying the markets tomorrow. MES, trade MES. The PA feels like election night. Kind of does. Just erased huge moves from last night. How far off are we from the lows? We're 300 points off the lows almost. 300 points.
Yep, about 300 points.
Sometimes you get too ugly via comments. That's okay. It's those what do we want to those intrusive thoughts. We all intrusive thoughts. Letting those intrusive. They're winning. Poll done. Okay, 52% of traders are trading tonight here in the chat, or at least who voted. 47% not trading. Now the question is how much do you want to believe them? All I know is I look at this tilt, and yes, traders are trading tonight.
Somebody's trading.
The average short is 19,040. You're in the underwater. It's crazy. They're bored. Don't risk what you can't lose.
I did put on a short on this coaching combine, but I would not suggest anybody trading this in account that matters. This account cannot get funded. But I put it on at that level, right at the low of that candle that we were talking about.
Surprised I'm not trading? I'm locked out, man. I'm not going to trade this insanity price action. I was giving credit where credit was due, giving credit out to KJ, who took out that 240,000 or 200 or 400. What am I talking? 200, $410,000 worth of a payout. Made a nice comment. Yes, I am on Twitter. I watch. I pay attention. I don't have like the jab or hashtag, but I watch. I want to give more credit whenever I see things like that. Give shout outs. Give any of that because that deserves it. When traders are able to take that kind of money out of this market, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, that's what you want to see from a prop firm, especially from anyone. It's like you crest 410,000, paid. Right? No issues. No questions. I mean, it's nice to be able to request money from your broker, your prop firm, and not have to pray, not have to guess and hope. 40 points in 1 minute candles at 10 p.m. I know. These are some volatile markets.
Are we going to stay another hour if we get 1,000 likes? Probably not tonight.
No, Jay. No. We are almost done with tonight's session already. We are almost done. I pulled a double shift last night. You know it, Jay. I was in a position, and the chat had me stay a little bit after. But any last words? Coach Jay, before we end the session and leave everybody off into these markets? Andrew says, no. Robert needs a nap before D-Stream.
This is history in the making. Trade well, manage your risk. Don't try to force opportunities. The market's going to present them to you. And if you are just kind of getting accustomed to trading environments like this, maybe watch, right? Get some good screen time in, maybe put some practice trades on. If you've never traded this environment, don't come in with the expectation of having to make money from it. Trading, markets will go back to normal eventually. So manage your risk.
Yep. Don't trade. Just because you can does not mean you have to. So size down, understand that. We've provided all the links. If you have questions, go into the Top Steps website. You can take a look there in the support. If not, you could always hop into Top Steps Discord, ask questions there. It's always better to be safe, not to risk it. Manage risk. I can't iterate that enough. Top Step team is definitely keeping its eyes on the markets. Like I said, I talked to the risk managers. Same thing. The number one goal for all traders here should be managing risk in these markets. You can always trade tomorrow, always. And if you can't, we have bigger problems, right? There's Andrew in the chat. Let's go. I'll be on for Topstep TV, fast markets tomorrow morning. And then, of course, Dee for the London session. She's in for a wild one. That is for sure. So take care and see you then. Not yet.
Nope, not yet. We're still here.
With it, you can still hear us.